Some people talk to be seen. Others stay quiet and see everything. If you're listening to this right now, there's a chance you've met someone like this, or you are someone like this. The silent listener doesn't fight for attention. They don't interrupt. They don't rush to speak. But while everyone else is busy talking, they're absorbing everything. Words, tone, energy, lies, truth, and here. The unsettling part, most people never realize how much the silent listener truly knows until it's too late. In every room, there's always one person who says the least, but understands the most. They sit back, calm, almost invisible. People mistake their silence for weakness, shyness, or disinterest. But inside, their mind is active, sharp, constantly connecting dots. They remember what others forget. They notice patterns others miss. And they rarely reveal their thoughts because silence gives them power. When you talk, you give information. When you stay silent, you collect it. The silent listener learned early that speaking less creates safety. Maybe they grew up in an environment where expressing thoughts wasn't rewarded. Maybe being quiet protected them from conflict, judgment, or rejection. Over time, silence became their shield. While others used words to survive, they used observation, and observation shaped their psychology deeply. They don't just hear words, they read between them. They sense emotions behind smiles. They feel tension before it explodes. This makes them incredibly perceptive, but also deeply guarded. Here's where it gets interesting. The silent listener often knows exactly what to say, but chooses not to. Not because they can't speak, but because they understand timing. They wait. They let others reveal themselves. They watch people contradict their own stories. They notice who talks just to feel important and who talks to hide insecurity. And quietly, without anyone noticing, they build a mental map of the room. If this is already making sense to you, take a second to like the video and subscribe to Mind in Shadow. This channel dives into the psychology most people never stop to question, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. The strength of the silent listener is also their hidden burden. Holding everything inside creates pressure. When you absorb emotions that aren't yours, confusion follows. They often carry stress they never caused. They replay conversations long after they end. They analyze facial expressions at night when others sleep. Silence gives them control, but it also traps them in their own thoughts. And because they rarely share what they feel, people assume they're unaffected. That assumption is dangerously wrong. Many silent listeners feel invisible. They are needed for understanding, but rarely understood. People come to them to talk, vent, and unload, yet rarely ask how they're doing. Over time, this creates emotional imbalance. They become emotional containers for others while slowly disconnecting from their own needs. The more they listen, the less space they feel allowed to take. But there's another side most people never see. When the silent listener finally speaks, it hits hard. Their words are precise, measured, heavy, because they've thought about them for a long time. They don't speak to fill silence. They speak to end confusion. And when they do, people often feel exposed, because the silent listener reflects truths others weren't ready to hear. Psychologically, these individuals often struggle with trust. You know how icy words can mislead? Because they've watched it happen countless times. So they test people quietly. They wait to see who stays consistent, who changes stories, who respects silence instead of demanding attention. Only a few ever pass this test. Those who do earn deep loyalty, those who don't, never even realize they failed. The danger comes when silence becomes identity. When the silent listener believes their voice doesn't matter, or that speaking up will disrupt balance. Over time, this can lead to emotional isolation. It's not loneliness in the obvious sense, but a deeper kind, being surrounded by people while feeling unseen. They become observers of life instead of participants in it. And yet, when self-aware, the silent listener becomes powerful. They learn when to step forward and when to stay back. They stop absorbing what doesn't belong to them. They speak without over-explaining. They choose silence not out of fear, but intention. At that point, silence is no longer a defense, it's a choice. If this video made you think of yourself or someone you know, comment below. Don't overthink it, just one honest line. And if you know someone who always listens but never speaks, share this with them. They might finally feel understood. Because the silent listener isn't weak. They're not passive. They're not empty. They're full of thoughts, insight, and depth. The world rarely slows down enough to notice. And sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who understands everyone, including you.